Good evening. We are back here for Blacklight on Sports. I'm Dr. Mitchell Palmer McDonald,
I'm Charles Hallman.
and today we have a guest who is a proud third generation North Sider,
That's right.
former North Polar, currently I would say community activist. Could I put you in that category a little bit?
That's high
You're a little
praise. I
active.
mean,
You're a little, look. You're pretty active.
see, when I think about that, I think about your father. I think about all the people that come from. I have not made it to that stage, but I'm still working on behalf of us.
Okay, all right. And also a former student athlete in North Polar. Brett Buckner is real good for you to be with us. We're we're glad to have you.
I appreciate the time and just to be able to hang out with y'all. And it was up to Ray in the back over there too.
Yeah, yeah. We want to get started just by telling us, just about your journey, what you're up to now, how did you get there, but also your background,
Yeah.
you growing up, that type of thing.
Again, blessed to be always blessed to be a polar. Blessed to be a North Sider.
Yeah.
But blessed to be in this community. My family's been here since 1919. I have to tell that part of the story
Hmm.
because it
Hmm.
is what grounds me,
Yes.
what allows me to continue to do the work I'm doing. But I'm serving right now as a managing director for 1MN.org, which is a policy think tank that does the work of coming up with great ideas to move our community and
Okay.
our state forward, especially from the issue of economics and social justice. So working with our friends at the federal, state, and local levels,
Hmm.
coming up with the best ideas and providing them the necessary support and resources to get there, through policy analysis, recommendations, and everything
Hmm.
else. Again, the blessings to be able to work with individuals like Sam Myers, who guided me, Bruce Corey, and all that whole little crew. Um, but I've just been, again, with everything that's gone on, I can't say it no other way. To be a Minnesotan at this time that's going to be responsible for showing some great ideas to the rest of the country,
Hmm.
very important. So I'm just happy to be here. Happy to be with y'all again on a warm Monday night before our holiday. But I'm, ready to ready to see what 2025 brings us and see how we can make our communities better.
Yes, it's been
It's
quite the
been
year.
interesting.
We were just talking about that. It's been very, very, very interesting. How did you get into kind of like dealing with policy and dealing with well, pretty much the neighborhood.
You know, I went away to school, Hampton University, HU.
Hmm.
Yes, we're the real HU. But
Yeah. Ooh, don't
um,
let Howard University know.
y'all
Go
heard it.
ahead.
Y'all heard it. Um, I'm here to start. I guess I am an activist. There you go. I activated that one.
Hmm.
Um, but went away to school, realized that our world, um, led by us, can be amazing. I was born and raised here, and I've always seen some great people and great activities. But
Hmm.
when I went away and then I came back home, I saw so many things that we could improve. And it came around the ideas of athletics.
Hmm.
As a former student athlete, I was blessed to be able to play at a good level.
Hmm.
Did all right. But I saw so many of young people in our community at the Boys and Girls Club, at the YMCA Hospitality House, across North Minneapolis, and even the rest of the city, not with the opportunities that the other kids had across the metro. So, got involved at the Boys and Girls Club, and then brought in Farview Park and a couple other places, and cobbled together this association. Candy Whitaker, everybody knows, Candy with
Hmm.
what they were doing with Ruth Hawkins and
Yeah.
Clarence and all that. We started to pull together and try to put together an association so our kids can compete at the traveling and the AAU programming. And that's what started it, basically.
Hmm.
Providing kids opportunities to play at a high level. And we were blessed. I mean, those first years, that was when T. Martin and all them were 12 and 13. So going all the way back to that, the look at them, Jason Collins and Chris Snoddies and
Hmm.
Travis and all them, that these kids deserved an opportunity. And so I found out very quickly that sports was not just about the game on the floor, it was about the organization behind it. And that's what kind of spurred all my activism and my policy stuff, I guess. So um, it's just providing our communities opportunities. And so the work that I'm doing right now is a direct line to making sure that our kids and our families could do what everybody else did across the state.
Okay. So you're just trying to keep it going.
Just trying to keep it going, and even the work we're doing with North Commons, that
Mhm,
project,
mhm.
without too much editorializing, we're just happy to see that we were able to come up with some great ideas that was supported by Congress, by the state legislature, by the city, by the county, to cobble together $45 million to remake it and to build a new field house, a new swimming pool, and a
Okay.
new the refurbishment of the recreation center. So again, just blessed to be able to have the opportunities to build these ideas, to work with others, and hopefully build better communities.
Okay.
Now you brought up, let's talk about the North Commons
Yeah.
project
Yeah.
because there was some pushback
Mm,
originally
Mhm,
from neighbors, longtime
mhm.
neighbors,
not to discount them.
uh,
Yeah.
and just the funding type of thing.
Yeah.
Then you had a competing organization that
Yeah.
built a swimming pool and a
Yeah.
recreation center.
Mhm,
So just talk about first of all how you got involved with that project.
Hmm.
Obviously, because you're a North Sider, but
Hmm.
also some of the pitfalls you had to deal with, and now that you see some of it come to fruition
Hmm.
with and with our craziness that we deal with politically, you
Hmm.
know, getting that because again, as you know, we all know the city lacks those kind of
Yes.
facilities.
Yes.
And going
Yes.
to suburbs, they pop up every day,
Yeah.
field houses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We don't have that
Yeah.
anywhere in the city, let
Really?
alone the north side.
Exactly. No, this came about
Mhm,
um myself, um, Mike Tate, Coach Tate, Coach Tally,
mhm.
Kim Ellison, Lance Knuckles, Ray Dean, Erica Binger, even, and many more of us got together and we said, you know what? We tired of driving out this everywhere else. The coaches were saying it, the parents were saying that there wasn't an association at that time for our kids to recoup some of their dollars and actually,
Mhm.
it's that whole thing, if you're always on the road, I mean, what are you, the Globetrotters all of a sudden? So that's basically, so around 2000, late 2012, and think about what they had gone through in North Minneapolis. We had the
Mhm.
mortgage disaster that was taking place, with a lot of our friends and families losing homes and everything else because of the mortgage tragedy that was taking place. The tornado had just come through. North was about to be closed, the whole nine. So we were like, we got to do something around here. So myself and that group that discussed,
Mhm.
we need to build something so our kids. At that time there was about 12 to 13,000 kids within a 1 mile radius of that park.
Mm-hmm.
And but our amenities was basically, we still had the same facilities that we've had for the past 20, 30 years. So we said, let's go ahead and start, dreaming big. So I was running for council at the time, for Fifth Ward. And I said, this is going to be one of my big pieces to build upon. If the kids are safe, that means the rest of the community can thrive and start to go from there. It's going to help out North High School, help out all public schools, and it's going to absolutely start to change mindset. And our design was to create a regional destination that everybody can come to, a four-court plus, plus the field house and other things. And we threw the ideas together. John Olson was like, "Yep, I'm right behind it." Fast forward, they created the master plan process for North Minneapolis, for all parks actually, but for North Minneapolis specifically. John Olson, who was the commissioner at the time, said, "Can you ready to build North Commons?" I was like, "Yep, let's go." Got to the table with my other members of the community advisory committee. Our idea wasn't even the biggest idea. It was Brent Maher. Brent Maher was coming with the funk. I was like, give me cover. Let's go. Because they were thinking about doing something similar to what Como Park was, with the conservatory
Yeah.
and everything else.
Yes.
I was like, let's do it. And they got shot back. They got pushed back from
Yes,
their
they did.
neighbors. Same reasons that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they
So
did.
yeah, they were talking, we were talking about this large facility. Let's bring in the money and everything else. And the neighbors just basically said, doesn't fit the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there like, you do know there's a high school right here, and there's a YMCA here, and a big park that, yes, you hear gunshots because nothing happens in this area. It doesn't fit the neighborhood. And then we would hear excuses such as, well, if there's more activity, there's going to be more parking and more parking issues. I was like, y'all got garages. Y'all got side streets. Y'all don't say no. I mean, I'd hear things such as, "Well, if you cut down that tree, the birds are not going to come back."
Yeah.
I was like, "There's all, I mean, trust me, Minneapolis is pretty good with trees, y'all." Um, we had some neighbors start advocating for, um, um, cross country skiing. I was like, have y'all cross country skied at North Commons? They got the lope it up there. And then yeah, we run into things such as Eric and Binger, and let me be very clear about this. We need all these things for our kids.
Mm-hmm.
But V3 came up and said, we're gonna do this and got $15 million, through the back door and using our same language. And we're like, and there was hesitancy from the park board. The project showed you, even with good intentions and with the best plan. Because the funny thing is that most of the plan was developed by the park board. Park board planners. They were the ones coming up with, we should put a bubble over this and we should expand this and this, that, and everything else. That sounds great. Let's do it. Oh, but the neighbors. I was like, and the neighbors can kick rocks. Literally. It's the whole thing of believing that your community can be better than where it is today.
Mm-hmm.
And what we were able to persevere with, one, we knew the system. Again, because of a few of our backgrounds and everything else, we knew how to maneuver. We knew how to get money out of the Senate Republican, leadership over at state legislature. Congress, which was under the control of the um, GOP at DC. We got $3 million out of them because we were able to tell the proper story about what's going on and everything else. And it was so funny. Those same neighbors that were talking about this does not fit our community ran to those same Republican, distractors
Mm-hmm.
to try to stop the project. And they were like, and I think this is just how Republicans are sometimes. If they get a bunch of Democrats screaming and hollering, one way, they're going to go another way just because. So that might have helped us in the long run. But at the end of the day, this was about how can we get these 12,000 kids to have the same opportunities. So, and I heard Mari Fleecehaven say this the best, the principal at North. I don't have the facility to compete with all these other schools, Hopkins and Edina and Eden Prairies and Rex and everything else. I don't have those facilities. So we were trying to figure out how to make it possible. And on 26 acres, we came up with this idea. It's passed, and now they're going to break ground somewhere in spring. And, we're not done yet. I ran into the superintendent the other day. I was like, we're going to find you more money to do something else. He was like, what's that? I was like, don't worry about it. Just roll with the kid, and but we're at the point now where we're saying that this thing's about to be built and it's gonna change mindsets for a lot of people.
How much did it help you going to Hampton and
Huge.
getting that training, getting that political awareness that you may wouldn't have gotten if you stayed home, and not and fast forward to being able to do the right thing, say the right thing, push the right buttons. Sometimes you don't learn that if you stayed home.
My first day at Hampton, I tell this story every day, but I didn't talk for 3 days when I got there because everything was black. And I'm a Boondocks fan, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do the whole thing. My president is black, my Lambo is blue, and the rest of y'all, I can't say the rest of it because we all niggas. But the reality is that changed my mindset. Now again, we had the blessings of having Sharon Sales Belton as our mayor here, and having the representatives that we had for our standpoint. But when it changed, I mean, I did not talk for 3 days. Some people thought I was a mute. I ain't gonna lie to you. And then when I got to, and I think both y'all would know this because when y'all are either at a prep rally or a homecoming or something like that, and all you see is the band, the cheerleaders, and the team, and everything else, and you're just sitting there like,
Mm.
because I was fish out of water. But what it showed me was again, President Harvey was the leader of our organization, but he was also he led the city. He wasn't the mayor, but he led the city, and it showed me that we can do not only big business but real big business.
Mhm.
And so when I came back home, it was an easy thought for me to say, if I can, we can organize a few people together, our community people, and we're gonna go after what we need to go after because we need to do that. And Northside allows, gives me that space to be able to do that too. So I couldn't have done it if I did not have those years at Hampton.
Got you.
How long did you stay at Hampton?
I was here 3 plus. I was
Okay.
one of those that was just floundering the first year. Got some feet back together. Started to recognize that I too can flourish here.
Mm-hmm.
That first semester, I was in the days. I ain't gonna lie to you. And staying at as it's called Harkness officially, but we called it Darkness. And just great brotherhood building and everything else, but my God, I was not used to it. I was not ready, and it took me about a year to get my feet together, and then the transition coming from Minnesota to
Mm-hmm.
all black environment is definitely one.
Yeah, and I find that interesting, but simply because you came from a black community,
Yeah,
but it was in Minnesota.
it was in Minnesota.
So I mean, so even though you went to a predominantly black school, up here and all that, it is a different take. Cause I went to an HBCU, so
Mhm.
it is a different take when you go down there because you see how can I put this? You see black people down there um, taking care of business,
Oh man,
and you don't that's not promoted up here. You
no,
don't see that up here. You're If you do that up here, you're one of the few.
yes,
If as a student, you're one of the few that are doing things.
yeah,
I went down there thinking, okay, I had the high GPA.
right,
I'm on academic scholarship.
right.
Went down there and found out. I'm like, well,
You
okay,
you
I'm not all that.
you are one of
Yes,
you
I'm one.
of
I'm one. I'm like everybody down here just like me.
no,
Where up here I stood out.
yeah,
Because, and people don't understand. A lot of it has to do, with the environment and
yeah,
where you are. We're in Minnesota, but I went to Central State and everybody was, we had fun and all of that. But
hmm
on that Monday, the weekend, we was partying like crazy. But on that Monday, everybody had a briefcase. I
yep.
was like, what the
Yeah,
heck? I was like, wait, what? Where's my briefcase?
briefcase.
Yeah, I said, where's mine at? So
I had a folder like running.
yeah, so you do, and then you do come back with a different
Oh,
a different sense.
yeah.
So I just wanted to just
Y-
kind of piggyback on
Yes, sir.
on that
Yes,
on
sir.
that statement.
Now, Brad, how much we recently learned the Supreme Court ruled that a Democrat who
Mm.
won his
Mhm.
seat
Yeah.
may not have that seat because of residency issues. How much will that have an impact if they don't appeal that and the GOP would become the majority as opposed to it was a DFL
Y-
trifecta?
Funny enough, it was a hot mess going into how they're going to share, this whole little thing. I
Mhm.
think it's actually going to be a slight um help for everybody. There's some y- as you say, if you got two, you got none, as it relates to those chairs.
Mm.
And at least now and we know what the playbook is going to be for the GOP on this one. They're going to try to delay, deny, and everything else. They're getting ready for 2026. That's been their whole thing. They've been talking about nothing's going to happen this session. No additional money, or whatever else it might be. What is going to happen is going to really it's going to put some responsibility because you have to pass the budget this year. It's going to put some
Mhm.
responsibility on the GOP to actually be active participants, and they're going to scream tax break for the wealthiest Minnesotans, and quite honestly, that's not going to go over too well with a lot of people who they just received those votes from, and so as they say, heavy as a head that wears a crown. Now they got a crown on them. They got responsibility. And so it's going to be interesting. But, from our standpoint, we're looking at this as Minnesota is one of the few states that actually has stable government with at least a sense of that we can build.
Mhm.
And they're talking about the budget shortfall in about in two terms, two cycles out. That's based on if everything was kind of flatlined and whatever else it will be. Um, that the Republicans, based on what they have done in the past, have always left deficits or have made some very drastic, had to force drastic change on the budget and on the society. And they can't go into this, with this mindset that we're going to cut taxes,
Mhm.
because the reality is that the society is getting more expensive, and the opportunities are being shortened because we keep taking away revenue. Now, again, are there some things that the Republicans can and should be doing, um, to make a better case? Yeah, but they can't be screaming,
Mm.
this is about Trump, because they ain't gonna play in second and third ring suburbs. They just want to make sure that when we spend money, we spend it right and everything else. And we'll get a bunch of investigations on what's going on. They ain't gonna find nothing because they were right there with the auditor's office in the first place. So you know, expect very little. A budget, maybe a handful of things other than that, but that's about it.
Why why do you think it's important to do this work?
I get that question a couple times from family. You'd be doing so much more right now. Um, but this is home. Um, I'm blessed to be here
Hmm.
at this time and at this moment, and with all the challenges that we have as a community. Um, you know, um, I've been blessed with the ability to be able to put a handful of sentences together and connect some dots on some ideas, and try to bring people to the best that they can actually do.
Hmm.
So I'm going to keep doing that as long as I can. If I feel like I'm not effective enough, I have no problem walking away stage right, and go from there. But this work is important because if we don't put our communities back together, it's real simple. Strong individuals is supported by strong families based on strong communities create strong societies. And I've always believed in that. And my 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 payments back for the people that actually helped me out is to pay it forward, and to prepare the next generation society from there.
Now, you in high school you played football at North
And baseball.
for and baseball. And um, what was that like? And I mean, I know you played for you played for a Hall of Fame coach and Coach Richard
Yes,
Robinson,
I
but
did.
what was that experience like? And did anything that you learned from your athletic experiences in football and baseball,
hmm
help you in what you're doing today and what you eventually became?
I'll take a reverse order. North baseball is just keep playing and have fun because you ain't gonna win. And and just compete to the best of your ability.
Mhm.
And just enjoy the sport that you've always loved.
Who was your coach?
Richard Scott,
Okay,
Coach Scott.
okay, okay.
And that was a hoot unto itself. That's a character's character right there. Um, but and he had me all over the field too, because at time, I mean, we were the North Side Nine because we only had nine at sometimes,
Okay.
and we would literally get the team manager off the bench sometimes. We only got nine. Let's go. You playing right field today. Buckner, I need you to play center field and cover everything. Technically, Brett, you're playing both fields. I was like, okay, here we go. But I had fun doing it. It was a good time. Football though, to play for, you don't know that he's a legend until you really, again, you don't really
Yes.
understand it.
Yep. Yep.
And my first encounter with Coach, first real encounter, because I didn't know he knew who my whole family was.
Mm-hmm.
Walking in the door, he knew my whole family. I didn't know this man from Adam. And again, I'm a freshman. I walk, north. You have the locker room door that you go into, and I literally just threw my bag, and I had to run and do something. I forget what it was. And he recognized that, it was one of my, my bag and everything else, and he brought it in. I didn't know him. Came back and looked. I was like, "Where's my bag at? Hey, y'all, where my bag?" Coach was like, "Come here, boy. What side of town do you think you in?" "Oh, thanks, coach." "No, no, no. You gonna pay? I paid for it that day." But what he showed me at that point in time is that I don't care from his first team to his last team. He knew all of us. He
Mm-hmm.
took care of us. He understood what it was about, and he taught us the lessons of team
Mm-hmm.
and pride. Especially because, again, remember his history. Coming from over here at Central and everything
Mm-hmm.
else, he had to fight for everything. And I was just proud to be able to say that I was a 2-year starter. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that was an accomplishment unto itself. I started for Richard Robinson, and and I was blessed that he thought of me well enough to be able to try to move me forward and everything else. And even he brought me as the team manager when he coached the All Star team.
Okay.
So that was a high honor, to be able to do that. And I got a chance to do some other things, and it was an awesome opportunity. It was a heavy responsibility. And again, we were trying to rebuild North football at that time. If y'all
Mm-hmm.
remember, we literally had a JUCO looking football team, my freshman year, and was 0-8, and we had to rebuild a program.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my whole push. How can we as seniors leave with some type of momentum that can build a program? And I think we did okay.
Yeah.
Mitch and I talk about this a lot, and want to get your thoughts on this. High school basketball and high school sports in general
Mm.
doesn't seem to have that cachet it used to have.
No.
In a lot of ways, sometimes they're blowing up kids at seventh grade,
Yeah.
or I read to him some scores in the
Hmm.
paper,
Hmm.
and the scores I couldn't believe it was a varsity game.
Yeah.
I mean, 15 points or 17 points in
Yeah.
a varsity
In a,
game.
in a home.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it, we talked about part of the talent drain has
Yeah.
been taken out of our community, but also it's just that kids, like you play two sports, kids don't want to play multiple sports anymore.
No.
They want to play this one sport, and and then they almost burn themselves out by the time they do get to high school because they
Yeah.
played it so early and they just played one sport.
Yeah.
I mean, since you're a community guy, you've been what are you seeing? The good and bad,
I,
because I don't have to say well, it was better back then, but
I feel bad for these kids today because they don't know how to just play. I mean, just play,
Mm-hmm.
just pick up, just to go to North Commons or whatever else, to go to just and go and compete because everybody thinks that they're going to be the next whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be the next this. I'm going to be no, no, no. Why don't you just be you and be the best you and just enjoy? And there's this whole thing of I have to star, and if I don't star, I don't play.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest, whatever. And it's not all the kids, don't get me wrong, but the kids right now, because our systems are crumbling in the city. And I know I can say that very clearly in the city of Minneapolis. And yes, because of our lack of systems within the park board as relates to rec and athletics. And I would say that I'm starting to feel it over in St. Paul as well.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And so that's where we came up through. We came up through the parks. We came up through our youth serving agencies. I was a Boys and Girls Club kid at Gamble's, but we still had to play in the park system. That system, excuse me, isn't there anymore. We don't have individuals like Dave Ellis and Joe Sullivan and all these individuals that from the club standpoint, the Rahman Conicos and the Rod, all those people at a hospitality house, the
Mm-hmm.
clearances and the candies and all that kind of stuff that dedicated the stuff that y'all do on a regular basis. You know, there hasn't been the system to be able to support it across the board, and it's intentional. I'm going to say that very clearly. And then people will say, no, that's not the case. I was like, I'm just looking at your results. So kids don't have a chance to play. Kids don't believe that that they have the system to be able to support it. And quite honestly, with this transfer portal that you have, this open enrollment, you know, the cities such as um, Hopkins and Eden Prairie and Woodbury and everything else, they do a great job of mining the kids in the city, taking them out. St. Thomas and Cretin
Mm-hmm.
and Blake and Breck and the whole nine, and they know exactly what they're doing.
Mhm.
And so you put all those things together, and it's not just about so much that the quality of sports going down, the quality of your community and your school environment goes down as well. And so I feel bad for these kids. I know that they're starved for this type of environment, but it's going to take a lot of work to put it back together. And I too, I'm worried. When I saw a team score, what was it? No, I saw a box score that someone only scored 8. I was like, I thought it was a misprint. I literally had to check it out through, and yeah, 8. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, something. It, but everybody want to be the coach, the head coach at that program, and I did this, and oh man, it's just horrible right now. Yes, it was better when we were growing up.
St. Paul just named their new superintendent. So
Yes,
now, literally, in a few months, both large districts will be headed by black women.
yes.
Uh, from your viewpoint, how you feel that the leadership in Minneapolis has been since she's taken over?
I think Dr. Adams is doing a great job. She's doing the best what she can with what she has, but there's the math, as I say, ain't mathin', as relates to our enrollment. And it
Mm-hmm.
starts in North Minneapolis. Over, don't remember the last number, but I know that we are approaching over half of our kids are not attending Minneapolis public schools in our
Mm-hmm.
backyard. And so it's just from a simple thing of, you know, I remember this is about a decade or two. The kids, Naz pointed out that kids are attending 60 plus schools across the metropolitan area.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way that you can have a stable situation as relates to your programmatic instructional activity, and also do the extracurricular activities and everything else. So there's got to be a reimagining of how your system works. And I know that will be in the best interest of all once we get it together. And I think she is a dynamic, innovative leader from everything I've learned and everything I see. And I think she'll be able to get there. The a new superintendent for St. Paul from Edina is going to bring a very interesting perspective. Um, Edina has its great advantages. And so for
Mm-hmm.
her to say, I want to be able to leave and come over to the system and kind of build from there, she'll be able to take a lot of great ideas, but she's going to have to be patient because Edina is not St. Paul.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting to see. But I know she's a very talented administrator and leader, and I think it's going to be interesting to see. St. Paul's in a much better shape than I think in Minneapolis, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you gotta have a lot of work to do over there. So good luck. I mean, we need to support him as best as possible.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of how I can put this. How has the how has the community and more importantly the young people respond to the things that you are doing, like the different changes or
That's a great question.
yeah.
So we work with a bunch of kids now
Mm,
through multiple programs, and
mm,
and actually, we started seeing this just coming. Tell you a little bit of a structure. One of Men works with a group of organizations that work with a bunch of kids called Seeds to Harvest. We've been blessed to do some amazing things. Um, the Litter League, literally, we have the kids go out there and they serve their community. Coach Tate takes them out on Saturdays and. Over 300 drains in North Minneapolis now expanding the program to high schools so the kids can serve and play. Great stuff. But what we're and they see and they recognize it, but there's this whole thing of there's this still it's unlike our generations where we had a confidence about that we were able to do it,
Mhm.
there is a reluctance to be able to think that these that they believe that this is making a difference because they see they're inundated too much with social media on one side, but then
Mhm.
they do the actual work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a contradiction for them. I see
Okay.
good work happening, but the
Mhm.
report on the street is this. And so they are just, and we haven't had a chance to like, do it, like sit down with them and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But they keep coming back. They keep doing the jobs,
Mhm.
but they still kind of go like, but did that make a difference? And I think that's the thing that concerns me the most is that
Mhm.
they really don't believe that they can and are making a difference at real time. Um, but not to lose hope, they keep trying. The one thing I'm excited about with this group of young people, then that they believe that they are making it, that they believe that something's happening,
Mhm.
not only because they're being consistent and continue on with it, it is the whole thing of when they hear one of their friends say, "Oh man, I should have did that," you
Mhm.
know, off of social media, connected. Oh, I should have did that,
Mhm.
and then they come back, well, why is this? Oh man, my friend might be coming next week, or it's that validation. So we got to do it. I think we do have to do a better job of saying thank you to them and also promoting what's going on, not overblown.
Mhm.
Everybody's not going to get a trophy, but we're going to say thank you, and kind of go from there, and really start to let them know from other perspectives that somebody else sees you too.
Mhm.
It's good that your friend Peter crew is seeing it, but maybe it is Dr. Adams from the
Mhm.
superintendent saying, well, we're going to say thank you to them. It might be, Councilmember Ellison or Representative Bajay, Senator Champion, and all those, say, we see you kids. I think if we can do that a little bit more, I think we'll be in better shape to get them to that point.
Now, how important is it for you and the people you work with? How important do you think it is for those young people to see you all kind of leading the charge or kind of encouraging them?
It's critical because it's that role modeling.
Mm.
It's that whole thing for a lot of our young men. Not too many male role models in the house. So
Mhm.
when they see coach and when they see the other, even the older kids, that are currently on high school teams and everything else, when they see them, it validates them as individuals. For the young ladies, when they do see some, people that they recognize in the community, that gives them that a little bit of, you know, our, our charge is to how do we find a way to elongate it because they're getting inundated from the social media side of things and
Mhm.
when they go to school and everything else that my safety is to be cool and kind of just whatever else, but my solace is going to be when I come and do service and
Mhm.
when I hang out with y'all. So we got to figure out how to expand it beyond one hour a week because that's basically what we do.
Mhm.
It's a couple hours, but in the grand scheme of things, they intend something to do and done a bang up job. But I think they need to see us more than just the 1 hour.
Mhm.
They need to see interviews, like what y'all do on a regular basis to see what's
Mhm.
going on in the community. They need to know that it's being hyped up. That yeah, someone sees me when I do a good job, when I do my job, when I all those little things. They need to know that they know that we're there, we see them, and that we're going to walk with them all the way through.
It's good.
How would and we know we're about 4 years beyond when the world shut down
Mm,
for COVID.
yeah.
And we know it slowly is trying to get into a better place.
Mm-hmm.
Kids didn't go to school for a while.
Ooh.
And that set a lot of things back. I talked to some counselors that told me that, the socialization that the kids would have had, that it's been retarded
Yeah.
for a
Oh.
couple of years because
Ooh.
they didn't go to school.
Yeah.
And so now they in school and they all this pent up, all this other stuff that they're going through because they didn't get a chance to get that out.
Mm.
And then we have, we had the so-called racial reckoning
Yeah.
that lasted maybe 7, 8 months.
Yeah.
And now, that seemed to be gone away.
Yeah.
As you open up your crystal ball. We're getting ready to go into 2025. What do you see?
Uh, uh, um, shoot. The crystal ball, what I'm looking at right now, bluntly, we are on the precipice of a hot mess. COVID ain't got nothing on 2025. And I think it's just the anxiety. So what we always say with seeds is, especially when it comes to that age group, we were worried about the 9-year-olds up to the 13-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
Because we knew at that point in time that those are those years that you transition and you start to, you get bigger, you're doing all this kind of stuff. And these kids were inundated because the electricity and the internet still worked during those 2+ years.
Mm-hmm.
And they were inundated. Just in it. That was the education. It was akin to being you were locked down, locked up, and that is your now education system. Nobody was doing no Khan Academy or anything like that. They were doing some straight up street fighting type stuff and everything else. And when you inundate 9 to 13-year olds, because you can still kind of work with those younger kids and kind of make some adjustments, everything else. Those older kids, they're kind of set, they're in their rhythm. It was that age group. So my crystal ball is concerned most about the kids who are now 12, 11, 12, going up until that senior year.
Mm-hmm.
That age group right now is the lost generation. And with everything that's about to go down between our economy, that's going to be just waffling, over the next couple for many different reasons. The How we look at each other, how we feel about each other, how the issue of race and you know sexuality and all these type of things is going to just with all this anxiety it's going to have this. I'm worried about 2025 because everybody thinks that they're egregious right now. Somehow, something's happening, and somebody's going to step on a toe. Somebody's going to do something that's going to do that. It's a shame that Ukraine is the tip of the iceberg internationally because you got Gaza, you got Sudan, you got all these other things that affect these children. Because why? They get to see this stuff in real time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get Dan Rather kind of giving me a filter or whatever else. I get it straight from the street.
Mm-hmm.
So now all of a sudden, if I feel connected more to that than I do here in my neighborhood, but I see the similar injustices that are going on. The only thing that is really preventing like the mass whatever else, and you called it out exactly as relates to the racial reckoning that only took that was done in eight months. The lack of organization, lack of connectivity, and everything else from a lot of these communities, especially younger communities, did not sustain the change and move on from there. That's mainly our fault because we did not push that through because we kind of accepted what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so 2025 is going to be fight or flight. And what I'm hoping is that cooler heads prevail because you think about what happened with the whole thing with George Floyd, that murder that took place a couple blocks from here. That in any other community, if that was the case, all blank would have broke loose. But somehow, some way, we were able to still keep it all together. COVID helped. Be perfectly honest, if everybody was just out in the street and everything else, that would have popped off a lot quicker. That was a hot weekend too.
Mm-hmm.
But 2025 is going to say what's going to be that next moment that people are going to feel like this toe got stepped on, and everything's going to go from there. So I'm concerned about 2025 if we do not find a way to find the humanity and the possibilities on it within ourselves.
Well, I'm calling it winter in America.
winter in America. I mean, I'm just trying to get to 250. You know, the 250th anniversary of this founding of this great and crazy experiment called America is supposed to be happening, but I'm still, you know, I see too many television shows that are trying to just kill off the country. So I don't know. Let's just get to 250 and then we'll roll some dice from there. The last ship and everything else, then we got one ship left, huh? Okay. Ooh. Yeah, made me think about that.
Well, usually, as we close, usually we give our guests a chance to say something, kind of a parting word, kind of words of wisdom. What do you call them, Charles?
Pearls of wisdom.
Pearls of wisdom. See,
Oh.
you give me words of wisdom. What's that? What's that? Pearls of wisdom. Thank you. Yes, that's right. See, we help each other all the time on this show.
Hey, that's what it's our team.
But something that maybe you want to expand on, or something that we haven't talked about, or something that you want to say and we didn't ask.
Well, I'm just happy to be, with y'all, on this, again. We're a couple of days before the holiday, the Christmas Day, and that will celebrate with y'all. It's a blessing and honor as well.
We appreciate it as well.
Yeah, no, and I thank you for hanging in there with me on this. I think more than anything else, be kind to each other in this upcoming year. Just be kind to each other. Have some grace. Take a deep breath. I mean, we've gone through a lot, and I, you know, some things just are going to be. Yes, there's going to be some craziness. Yes, there's going to be some straight, you know, mess. But don't take it as the world's going to end, because that's we can work our way into it, and we shouldn't. And we should be concentrating on what's next and what's good for our children and their children. And if we get back to that conversation about what's good for them and what's good for them and them, I think we'll be in better shape. But, for the kids out there, it gets better. It gets better. Just relax. And for the parents out there, you know, quit trying to be friends to the kids. Stop it. Stop it. I get it. But quit trying to be friends. You are a parent for a reason. You're supposed to be given that guide and everything else. Let the kids be a kid, but you provide that guidance. And other than that, I think, again, just take a deep breath. I think we're going to be okay.
Well, we want to thank you for stopping by.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. And hey, go Polars always.
And this concludes another episode of Blacklight on Sports. I'm Dr. Mitchell Palmer McDonald.
I'm Charles Hallman, and thank you for joining with us. And please continue to read us in the paper and watch us and listen to us as well. Thank you very much.